Hello, my name is Brad Erickson. Thank you for joining me for this training session where we'll be discussing capital budgeting and the sensitivity analysis model. Begin by discussing what a capital budget is, how a sensitivity analysis can be incorporated into the capital budget, defining the qualitative and quantitative steps required to use the sensitivity analysis, and finally, how risk can be incorporated into a capital budgeting analysis. So before we get into the topic, let's first define some of the terms we'll be using. For instance, what is capital budgeting? The capital budget is simply an analysis tool that is used to plan how to invest money to grow the business. Capital investments focus on creating cash flows that are realized several years into the future rather than in short-term gains. Prime examples of capital investments might be constructing a new facility or purchasing additional machinery. Each of these investments projects comes with inherent risk, and the capital budget analysis helps determine whether that long-term investment is worthwhile or not. In order to decide which investment projects to pursue, several factors must be accounted for. What are the long-term business goals, and what are we trying to achieve? Identify potential investment proposals, estimate cash flows the project will produce. What is the financial feasibility, or what can we afford to, or can we actually afford to do this? Choosing the projects. Each leader within an organization will have their own list of pet projects, and they'll want theirs on the top of the list. Next, we implement the project, and then we monitor and adjust the project targets to make sure that they reach the goals and objectives. As with any analysis, there are limitations. Many factors can be modified and change the outcome. To determine the factors that will make the biggest difference, a sensitivity analysis can be used. The sensitivity analysis in finance is used to model standard formulas and examine the stability and robustness of the investment by playing out different scenarios. It allows modifications of key assumptions to determine the effect on the outputs. The sensitivity analysis can provide a certain amount of credibility to the financial decision by assessing the model across a wide range of possibilities. For this reason, it is commonly referred to as a what-if analysis. By modifying the independent assumptions, we can model different scenarios and learn the degree of risk. For example, what would happen if the potential sales or the manufacturing cost increased or decreased? What impact would that have on the net present value, or NPV? The major steps of the sensitivity analysis are qualitative in nature. Identifying the key variables that may change, or what are the variables that significantly influence the output of the model. How much can the parameter potentially change? We can do that by defining the parameter ranges, designing scenarios to explore the changes, various combinations of the values within the parameters uh, create different scenarios for analysis. Perform the simulations, we'll run the scenarios and record the output values, and then we analyze the results by examining the changes in the output values to determine the sensitivity of the output compared to that original input variable. And then finally, we draw conclusions. We evaluate the impact of the individual variables or combination of variables on the output and then draw conclusions based on that analysis. This final step can be either qualitative or quantitative. Qualitative sensitivity models may be broader in their assumptions. They may involve ranking different factors by what the experts feel is the most important variable, whereas quantitative sensitivity estimates the percentage or how much of each output variance each factor is responsible for when other factors change. This type of analysis is very numbers driven. While all this talk and analysis is great, what's a leader to do with this information? We know that risk can come in many forms, but luckily it is possible to have the risk included in the capital budgeting analysis. Two ways of doing this are identifying, evaluating, and mitigating the individual variables using that sensitivity analysis. And the second way is to demonstrate the risk versus the return and show the actionable results by including the risk-adjusted discount rate. That means taking risk-free interest rate and adding the expected risk premium. By calculating the risk-adjusted NPV, if the outcome is positive, that means the investment is sound. If it is negative, that means it should likely be avoided. Risk-adjusted rates prepare investors to face any uncertainty. To summarize, we discussed the capital budget and how it's used to determine the value of long-term investments. And we can use the sensitivity analysis to further simulate different scenarios where key assumptions are changed. Both qualitative and quantitative models can be used to break down the information and present the best possible information to the board for decisions. Mitigating the risk is a very common practice, and that sensitivity analysis can be a big part in identifying and mitigating that risk. And so can introducing risk-adjusted discount rates to the capital budget. In the end, the best decisions come from having the most complete information available. Thank you.